Hello everyone, welcome back to Coffee and Bible Time. My name is Ashley. This is my husband Johnny. It's been a while since we've been in a video together, but we're really excited to give you guys some updates, specifically pregnancy updates. This is going to be a first and second trimester recap. And I've seen a lot of these videos online of women sharing how their first trimester went, how their second trimester went, all that stuff, but I don't think I've ever seen it where the guy is in the video too, so I thought that this would be kind of a unique perspective, and I think it's important for people to see both the woman and the man's perspective because they're both, the woman is carrying the child, but the husband is also walking with the woman usually through it. Obviously not in all cases, but in our case that is what we're experiencing, and so we really want to share it with you guys today. So the first question that I'm going to ask and that we're going to talk about is, how are things going?
Well, one of the first things that I would say is that it could be easy for guys to feel insecure because of the lack of support that there is, or the lack thereof of that, online, on different platforms, on social media, on videos. In fact, there's a lot of women, rightly so, because they're the ones who are carrying the baby, but there's a lot of content and resources and books that are very accessible for women, but there's not a lot of stuff for guys. How can guys support their wives or their partners? And sometimes it can be easy to feel insecure and to feel inadequate in this season and stage of life because, okay, my wife is the one who's carrying our child on her womb, and all we can do is just rub her back and bring her a cup of tea or give her a massage, which I have been doing.
That's a lot for me.
So there's this sense
that helps me a lot.
This sense of insecurity that I don't know if guys are watching, but that I would think a lot of guys relate to or can identify with. But you have to learn and you have to ask questions to guys that I really look up to and mentors that I can ask questions, or even my dad, and it's been very, very helpful. But it's been a learning experience.
You just got right into it. So for me, how are things going? I'm in the third trimester now, which I can't believe. We have like 3 months left or something. I don't know, maybe less. And we're trying to get everything prepared. We're not prepared, but we're getting there. And I know you can't be fully prepared, but we're going to take little steps to try to, get there. But anyways, we wanted to give you a recap on the first trimester starting with. So we're going to talk about the first trimester, and first I'm going to talk a little bit about my symptoms that I had in the first trimester. And I know I created a video kind of talking to you guys about my symptoms with stomach issues and my fears around that, and I'll have it linked in the description. But really my biggest fear looking back was nausea. And any smell was triggering for me. Meat was triggering, coffee was triggering, the smell of the oven turning on was triggering, toast cooking was triggering, his breath was triggering, chicken. Even like I remember our bed sheets smelled. And that was so annoying because that was where I was sleeping at night, and I tried washing them and it didn't work. It still smelled.
Well, I vividly remember, and this is when things started to change, and you're gonna love this story, and I think that this thing kind of exposed how insensitive I am. This morning I woke up and I got my coffee.
Not this morning. That morning.
That morning I woke up and I set up my coffee equipment as I would usually do, and I made my coffee and I was very excited, and all I hear from the second floor is like, "You make coffee? Can't believe that you make coffee," because Ashley had asked me previously in the past few days to not make coffee because that was a very triggering smell for her, and it was it would like disgust her. But I completely forgot that. It's not that I did it with ill-intended or that I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make coffee so she feels sick, but I forgot. And she freaked out, and then I had to learn, and then it kind of created a little tension because it was still winter, and I'm like, hey, I'm willing to go outside, but then I didn't want to go outside, so it was like this tension of like, well, I can make coffee in the basement or outside, but ultimately I had to change it all the way to my office, took all my coffee equipment there. And if you know me, you know that that's a ritual for me. I love making my coffee every morning the same way, the same place. So one of the things that I learned is to be flexible, which is still a thing that I'm kind of navigating through.
Yeah, and I will say that it was hard for me to be assertive and to say, can you not do this and can you please do that? And if I would have been more assertive, just said, can you please not do your coffee here, then maybe things would have turned out differently. It took me time to figure that out, and I'm just realizing that is how I have to be. I have to be honest and assertive and just say what I need. And I know I'm going to need to do that postpartum too. Like once we have a newborn, if I need something, I have to just be clear about that. Or if I need him to stop doing something, I just need to be clear about that. Because I can tend to be a people pleaser and I feel bad about being honest about certain things. It's just better to be honest at the end of the day.
Well, and you know, one of the things that I've learned is that, especially as a follower of Jesus, is that I know love is sacrificial, but I realized that I was not willing to sacrifice things because of how comfortable I wanted to be. But she really God used her to convict me of ways in which I was not sacrificing things that I was holding on to for the sake of my love for my wife. And so if I really loved my wife, I was gonna do something as mundane as making coffee and do it somewhere else or not do it at all. And so guys, if you're watching, you gotta be able to sacrifice things for your love for your significant other, because that's what God has asked us to do, to love our spouses sacrificially. And for me, involved taking my coffee somewhere else. And I know it sounds petty and silly, but it really hurt me because that was a ritual. Again, I am the kind of guy who loves to do things the same way in the same place every single day. And I had to realize that, hey, making sausage or chicken or things that I really love really trigger her. And so I need to cut it down to other things and learn how to be flexible. That was maybe one of the most challenging aspects of the first trimester.
I'm thankful that you did that. So
or go to Dunkin' Donuts.
A few of my other symptoms was lower back pain, very emotional and hormonal. Vivid dreams, like it was weird how that happened. Like really vivid dreams, fatigue, having to pee at night, all of those things. Just my body changing already at the beginning. And at the beginning it's crazy because your body is literally forming a new human being. Like that's a lot of hard work. And I was starting to face so many fears in the first trimester of just like the unknown of becoming a mother and raising a child. I have a blog post on that too. So just starting to wrestle through fears of becoming a mom, of fears of having a child, of our child maybe becoming a believer or not becoming a believer, and that like really scared me. And so ultimately I just had to give everything over to the Lord, and all the unknowns I can't know right now, and that's okay. You don't have to know all the unknowns. So another thing that happened was we got our first ultrasound, which was really exciting to hear the baby's heartbeat. But I will say that the first trimester, because I was sick and I had so much of the anxiety with that, it was hard to actually enjoy. Like I wasn't really excited about being pregnant. I was a little bit, but like at that point I just felt sick all the time. So it's kind of weird. So if you feel like that, any mothers out there who are in your first trimester and you're not like as excited, you're just like, oh, I feel horrible, that's okay.
And I think that to that point, I think social media has done a very poor job of showing the reality of pregnancies, because you see people who are pregnant with their spouses and they're taking beautiful pictures and they're posting these beautiful reels or videos or content, and you feel very insecure because that's not how you feel. You feel like puking every day of the day for the entirety of your pregnancy. And I just want to really remind people and us that everybody is going through a different journey in their pregnancy. For some people, it's so easy, and for the majority of people, it's very hard. So you wake up and you look like a disaster, not only for women, but for guys too. So I think it's normal. And as a guy, just knowing how to love my wife in those days when she's feeling very sick.
So I will say one thing from the first trimester. This is the last thing we'll say. Is I really could not stand his breath. And he has really good breath. He brushes his teeth 3 times a day. He uses mouthwash. It was only because of my pregnancy that I didn't like his breath. And when he ate chicken or meat. And that still lingers today, sadly. But it was hard on our marriage because in order to like kiss and be intimate, I had to get over that hump of his breath, and it was just like really hard. So
and it's interesting that there's so many things that you take for granted that you don't realize when you're not going through this season. Something as silly as breath.
Yeah.
And that makes a huge difference. Again, as Ashley said, I don't know how brutally honest we can be in this video, but just this whole aspect of intimacy and enjoying each other physically and being together, and me feeling insecure because, hey, I don't want to, it's not that Ashley would say, it's not that I don't love you or I don't want to be with you, I really do, but right now,
I feel nauseous.
You smell like a dead horse on the road. and so learning how to be okay with that. And flexibility again.
Okay, so that was kind of the first trimester recap. It really took us for a whirl. I'm just happy it's over, to be honest. That's all I can say. So happy that God gave us this precious gift, but the journey to get there is hard. So the second trimester, we're going to do a little recap about this. So I forgot to mention this, but I didn't like coffee at all. And I still, the whole second trimester, did not like coffee, did not like the smell of coffee. For me, it triggers nausea. Like, it just like, even just thinking about it is right now is grossing me out. So
until this day, I'm still doing pour-overs at the office.
So my nausea did end up like really going, not fully going away, but pretty much going away, which praise God for that. I do still get triggered by certain smells that remind me of the first trimester. But other symptoms, definitely the second trimester is the best. It's just like you have a little baby bump and you're starting to just get excited, and it was just so much fun to just like start preparing. I also felt this sense of like, oh, I really want the baby to be here, because we had our ultrasound, like our detailed ultrasound, and we saw the baby's face, and it just made me like really want to meet our baby, and that was so sweet and so special. And we thank God that like everything came out clear with the ultrasound, that our baby is healthy, as the doctors can tell, and that was just such a blessing.
Well, something I forgot to say, which I wanted to talk about and mention, is that throughout the entirety of the first trimester, Ashley started having a lot of cravings with food, and these random cravings. And as the loving husband that I would sacrificially go to the store to buy my favorite things too, like ice cream or Oreos and things like that. And so I started doing some research, because I started realizing, hey, this week I look a little bit different. And so I looked and I stumbled upon this concept called sympathy weight, which is very normal for, and very, a lot of guys struggle this when their wives are pregnant, and they are gaining weight because either they're eating the same things that their wives is craving. And, I wanted to be sympathetic and empathetic to my wife, but I realized I went way overboard with my empathy, and I started gaining so much weight and
not
eating
so
a lot.
much weight.
But I started eating a lot of food, and a lot of food that is not necessarily nutritious for you. And I became very insecure, because I asked myself, if this is going to last the entirety of the 9 months, because I am going to be a chunky little boy. But it's something that...
But it's a real struggle for men. It's like when their wife starts not being able to, like... I wasn't able to cook, and it was just like... Usually I'm the one who tries to keep us on track with health. So...
And I'm like, I'm okay with a Big Mac and chicken nuggets.
Okay, so... anyways, we saw the ultrasound and it was so beautiful, and we started feeling the baby kick, and at first only I could feel the baby kick, of course, because it was just in there. And I Googled, am I feeling my baby kick? And I asked my doctor too. And it was like a few weeks early before usually you can start feeling your baby kick. And I already knew that this was going to be a wild child.
And it caused so much conflict because Ashley would call me and be like, "Ken, come hear the baby," or "Come feel the baby."
Come feel the baby.
And then I would
put
touch,
his hand,
and I couldn't feel anything.
Couldn't feel anything.
And then after 5 seconds, I'm like, I'm sure I'm not able to feel him. But then Ashley will go, "Oh, you're so impatient. Why are you not sticking around?"
Okay, you don't have to share all the tea. So eventually he did feel the baby kick. And it's just so special, and it's so sweet to feel the baby kick. And it's just such like a beautiful feeling. But other symptoms I had were emotional. Of course, I've been emotional throughout this whole thing, like way more emotional. I got heart palpitations, which I've talked to my doctor about all these things.
Fatigued.
Acne. I was like, that was not fun. I still have acne, but I was not expecting the acne part. Rib pain. Once I started getting closer to the 3rd trimester, having bad rib pain, just not able to sleep as good. But overall, the 2nd trimester was way better. And yeah, what are things that you can remember from the 2nd trimester? You have a few notes here.
Well, Ash forgot to mention that throughout this entire process leading up to even today, we've had kind of a 3rd person sharing our bed. And I'm always by the edge of the bed. No.
Oh.
The pillow. Pregnancy pillow, to be exact. For Christmas, I bought her a pregnancy pillow because people were like, they're going to love it. Now she loves it way too much, where I am just an addition to our bed. And I'm like right there by the edge, about to fall off because of how much you love it.
Yes. So I have a pregnancy pillow and it takes up a lot of our bed.
But I would say, I don't know if you were going to share this, but the 2nd trimester is when we found out the gender.
Yes. Oh my gosh. We found out the gender. And
which is?
It's a boy. I was shocked. You were so excited. You were so happy.
Well, people ask you all the time, what do you, the people would word it differently.
People ask, what do you want?
And what do you want?
All
and
the
I'm
time.
like, how am I supposed to choose?
Right.
Like, if I'll be happy with both, but it felt like people put you against a wall, like, choose.
Choose, boy or girl.
And I'm like, I'll be okay with the boy, and sure enough, we had that. But I think it's worth noting that Ashley was very insecure, and she was very happy, but you can tell, we do have a video of us finding out, and her, my sister-in-law, Ashley's sister Taylor, she created this beautiful party where we were painting, and so it was the color blue. And you can see Ashley was very happy, but at the same time you can see this mixed emotion, mixed reaction.
I was processing through it all, and I think, so I thought we were going to have a girl, and I really wanted a girl, although like you said, of course I will be 100% happy with either. I was like, I would love to have a boy or a girl. Whatever God's will is, I'm open to it. But I felt insecure in being a boy mom because I can see myself being a girl mom just so easily. But then when I thought about being a boy mom, I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to be a boy mom? I just don't know. Like, I couldn't picture it in my head. And so I think this is common. I've actually researched it. Like, other women have experienced that too, where they are just like worried about having either a boy or a girl because they picture the other one in their head, and of course it ends up working out, and you end up realizing, oh my gosh, this was way better than I ever thought or could have imagined or planned. So,
well, as you know, boys have things that girls don't have, and it can be easy for moms to feel insecure of how to take care of a boy and how to approach awkward conversations. No, I'm serious.
Okay,
but it's the same with a dad having a little girl.
Yeah.
And,
that's true.
But I would have been happy with both, and I'm so happy with the boy. But I know that Ash is going to be an incredible mom to our boy. And, you know, as a guy myself, I love my mom with all my heart. In fact, I grew up being a mama's boy.
Mama's boy.
And I know your brother's a mama's boy.
Yeah.
Hopefully
and I hope I have a mama's boy.
But.
Okay, but I just wanted to say a few things about my appreciation for my husband. He did not write this. I wrote this. This is all from my heart. But I really, and maybe if you're a guy watching, like, I hope that you can be open to being this type of man for whoever you end up marrying, or if you are a husband already. But I just really appreciate that you have cared for me throughout this whole journey, not only with your words, but also with your actions. Particularly with your words. Like, one thing that he's always been intentional to do is, like, throughout this whole process, tell me, like, you're so beautiful. And, like, even though my body is changing and, like, I am getting bigger, and I mean, I can't help, you know, a growing belly and, like, all these things are happening to me, he always just says, you're so beautiful and you're the prettiest mom. And I didn't mention this, but I've had body insecurities throughout it, and a few times where I was just crying and you were really there for me, and I'm so thankful for that. And he's just been a rock for me. But that's one thing, like, how your words have been encouraging me. But he also just, like, shows that he cares through his research. Like, you have your own books that you're reading, you're researching your own articles. He went to a dad class at our hospital about preparing to become a dad, which is really cool. I never told him to go to the class. I never, like, forced you to do that. You just did that out of your own will, and that was so sweet, so encouraging, and makes me really happy. But you also, like, do things, of course, like, you give me massages, you go out to the store and buy things for me.
And I start charging
You help
her.
me whenever I need it. You read books to the baby, you pray for the baby. So just sweet things like that that show me that you care and you're there for me. And although I'm the one, like, carrying the baby and putting in the hard work there, like, I've heard women say they couldn't do it without their husband by their side, and I 100% agree. I know, of course, there are women who have to do it without someone to help them. But I'm saying for me, like, I'm so thankful that you're by my side. So, appreciate your moment.
So if you're a guy watching, make sure you love your wife, that you serve your wife selflessly, which is something that I don't do good sometimes. And even being patient with her, because she's going through so many hormonal changes. She's going through physical changes. Even earlier today, I was impatient even leading up to the recording of this video, and so I have to, it just exposed so much, you know, her being pregnant has exposed so many holes in my own character that God has have to shape and work through. But there's grace for the journey, and I'm so glad that God has been gracious to both Ashley and I as we try to love each other in this journey and as we become parents in a few months.
Yeah, he's been so gracious through my emotional highs and lows. Okay, anyways, so the last thing want to talk about is just quickly, because I know this is getting long, but people like long videos, how we're getting prepared and how we've been seeking God together on this journey. So how we're getting prepared for baby is that one thing we decided to do was do marriage counseling, and I can tell you it has been 100% worth it. It's helping prepare us. I mean, we needed it for ourselves, but just to prepare that healthy foundation before the baby comes has been really good, helping us learn about emotions and how to work through emotions. I think that will be really helpful with our child too, because we're not going to be telling our child to shove their emotions under the rug. We're going to be willing to talk with them through it and not let that be something that scares us. We've, of course, been reading books and materials. We're going to take classes, but I know you can never be fully prepared. You will never, ever be prepared for a child. So we know that, but we want to be wise and do what we can. One
pastor said that before he had kids, he had 7 theories and no kids, and then he had 7 kids and no theories. So I understand.
So, and then how have we been seeking God together through this time?
Well, I see this as when you're a single man or woman, or at least if you're a follower of Jesus. If you're not, then it might not be as applicable for you. But for me, when I was single, I was praying and asking God that he would shape my character before I even met my wife. And if there were things that I needed to work through, that he would deal with those things before I went into a relationship, because it would be unfair for my from my future girlfriend and then fiance and wife, for her to deal with my own sanctification. And of course, she didn't want a perfect guy, but I had to work through things in my life. And I see parenting in the same way. I don't think it's fair for my son if I'm not a man of character. And then when he is born, and maybe when he's a teenager and he's a young adult, have to see things that his dad is still working through that are not unhealthy. There are cycles of sin or patterns that are not healthy. So I want to make sure that I'm working through those things now. And so I'm praying, God, what are some things that are not honoring to you that I need to work through? And so with Ash, practically, we've been praying every day, which is the easiest, most powerful thing that you can do. And then we've been reading the book of Proverbs together, because it talks a lot about parenting, about marriage, about wisdom and how to treat one another and kind of horizontal relationships. So even though parenting books are important and resources, how to birth a child and all this biological books that they're gonna be necessary, I think the most important thing for us in this season is to make sure that we are godly individuals, that we love God with all of our hearts, so that we will be able to love one another and then our kid. And so for us, it's working through that. And I don't want to wait till my kid is born for me to, oh yeah, I need to be more loving and kind and godly. I want to make sure I work through those things beforehand.
I love that. Well said. That is how we've been seeking the Lord together, and honestly, just in the day in and day out. Through the mundane, through the trials, through the happy days and sad days, we've still tried to fix our eyes on Jesus. And like I said, try. We're not perfect at it, but we definitely try. And God gives us grace for the journey.
Yeah.
So that is where we're going to close up this video. We hope you guys enjoyed it.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. I didn't ask Ash to share this, but I'll be more than welcome to share my email. And if there are guys watching, I'd love for you to send me an email if you have questions. Or even if you're already a dad and you want to give me advice, please, I'd love to receive that. Or I'd love to give some advice about life and looking forward to parenting, because there's not a lot of resources out there. There's not a lot of communities out there that foster conversations and discussions with that. So I'd love to provide that.
Right. All right. Well, thank you so much, you guys, for watching. Don't forget, we have a free Bible study resource guide. If you want to learn how to start studying your Bible, this is for you. It's completely free. I'll have it linked in the description below, along with all of our other incredible resources that were created just for you. They're in the description below. We love you so much, and we will see you in the next video. Bye!